was really speaking. I was speaking about plant-based living and so forth, and I actually said I feel like there's a tropical oasis growing inside of me where there's all this harmony. And look what Andy's got. He's got the background of the beach, which is absolutely beautiful. So I'm really, really pleased with that. And what I'd like to say to each of you, and the reason I called tonight, it's April. And if we could all go on to mute. So if we could all go on to mute, that would be lovely. Thank you.
I'm not sure how you mute it.
Andy, can you guide Marianne how we mute?
Thank you.
I'm on my phone and there's 3 dots, and when I press one of them, it says tap to speak, but I don't see a mute button.
Okay. I think your background's pretty quiet, Marianne. I think it should be all right.
Okay, thank you. I won't talk.
No, you can. It's just something I've just asked. You're now muted, Marianne. All good? Beautiful. Okay, so today's really called It's April and Where Are You At? And I wanted you to start thinking about who are you in 2023 before we go into what your cells are going through. What are you in 2023? It's April. Do you like where you're at now? And what are you doing for yourself to make the rest of the year feel great? So there's 3 questions. Who are you in 2023? Where are you at? And what are you doing for yourself to make the rest of this year from April onwards the best year possible? I'll give you a few moments. And what's one thing that you've done differently from January to April that has added to your health? So the reason I like doing this in April, it's because we're into our 4th month, and we always say the year's going by so quickly, but it's really up to us to make the most of every day. So what I'd like to invite each of you to think about, rather than saying, if only I did this, I want you to make use of this month of April to really navigate you to the next month and the next month. And I spoke to a few that joined me a bit earlier, and I said, I feel like there's a tropical oasis growing inside of me because I've moved totally into plant-based supplements, and I walk around everywhere. People think I've got little white gems in my pockets while I've been up here, and I just go into my pocket and I'm chewing. I always travel with combination tea to make sure that, because I speak a lot, to make sure that the Kali Mur and the Ferrum Phos add some oxygen, and the Kali Mur really helps with my glands and so forth. But I want you to really realize that you are where you are because of where you are with yourself. So it's time to make yourself a priority. And I'd like you this Easter to make yourself the priority, because we always put people ahead of us. So this is a time to make yourself a priority. And it's not about selfishness, it's about where you're at. And I'd want to ask you, before I go on to anything else, what is derailing you at this time in your life? And it might just be one word, and something that I experienced. I don't know if I shared with you in the last masterclass of the way I've lived since January, and that is by adding red grapes to my diet. I did a 3-day fast, and then I've got someone who wants to register, and I'm just sort of not able to do it now. I will send her a recording. So there's about a few more people, but we'll just keep it as we are going. And I've added red grapes. And what happens, a lot of people say to me, oh, there's a lot of sugar in red grapes. But what these amazing grapes have done, they've actually taken, I was starting to eat quite a bit of, I mean, I have really nice chocolate, but I was getting some gifts and so forth. And it's amazing that when you can actually make your cells dance and make your cells, and I take Magphos, I found that the grapes have been a wonderful way to add the balance that my cells need, but I don't have cravings at all, and it's been a wonderful thing. And if you haven't actually added red grapes to your diet, have a think about and look them up and see what they've got. I'm happy to email you my article that I wrote for a magazine, Wild, about red grapes. But it's just been something that I studied many, many years ago. And I just sort of started buying them fresh every day. And they've gone down in price. So they're really not the $10, $12 I was buying in January. So it's really a wonderful addition to what you're doing. The next one that I wanted to ask you is the way to take a group of your day, your month, and your year, as we know, is to be grateful. When was the last time that you were grateful for your cells? When have you ever thanked your heart cells? When have you thanked your bowel, your cells that surround your bowel, that make up your bowel? When was the last time you thanked your bile cells, which need a lot of nat salt? Our heart cells need a lot of magnesium. Our brain cells need kali phos. Our lymph nodes, and if you're experiencing thyroid imbalance, is potassium chloride. So when was the last time you thanked your cells? So let's take some time to thank the cells, the trillions of cells that make up our body. And I walked around in some whole life stores today, and I asked, some people told me today, we didn't realize that tissue salts regulate mineral levels, but that's what they do. Their job isn't, I'll just admit all, their job isn't to, hello, Katie and Karen, their job isn't to build the minerals. Tissue salts regulate mineral levels, and the beauty about that is we need a GPS to always steer what we're eating and what we're supporting, what we're supplementing with, to have a pathway. What's the use of swallowing all those supplements? What's the use of eating an organic diet if we're not having that food go to where it needs to be, or those supplements being put to where they need to be? The other question I'm asking you, what do you need to do by June to activate yourself? That's your next question. What do you need to do by June to activate yourself? So let's look, does anyone want to share, what do you need to do to activate yourself? Is there anyone who wants to share with the group tonight? Katie?
Probably not. Sorry. Just, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Okay, so what's a part of your health that you would like to be addressed? If you had a magic wand, what is it that you would like to change in the way you're feeling, your energy, whether you're sleeping well? What is it that's bothering you the most, Katie?
Probably energy the most.
Yeah. And when we need energy, why I love the tissue salts, and I always also say a powdered supplement, because when you're low in energy, your organs in your body aren't functioning at their super best. So we need to help the organs along the way. And we look at the combination 12, which is for exhaustion and for getting all the 12 that Dr. Schussler believed needed to be in the body. And it's a good jumping plate to actually start with the combination 12 and maybe take a green powder. I always talk about the Vital one or a powder of your choice, but try to limit your supplements when you don't have a lot of energy. And that's why I love tissue salts, because they actually are your spark plugs. that will make sure everything else flows back into your cells. Yeah. So, and remembering that tissue salts are intracellular food, like a bowl of food, whereas everything works outside your cells. So I wanted to take a look. Anyone else who wants to share? Sophia, did you want to share?
Yeah, thank you, Susan. This is really good clarification. What I'm experiencing at the moment are burning eyeballs. I don't know if it's post-COVID from August or if it's the gluten and dairy, and I'm experimenting, but I tend to go back to having my gluten and dairy with craving, because that's my go-to. That's an easy breakfast. So what I need to do by June to activate myself is to commit to being gluten and dairy free, to see if that is actually triggering the burning eyeballs and then the fatigue. But then you've also said the combination 12, and you said
the 12's got all of them, but in your case, you may also, I love using silica and nat mur for your eyes, and the burning is naturally a fer phos, but silica and nat mur, and what nat mur does, it hydrates the eyes. So what we don't realize, dry eyes cause quite a bit of problem, and there's burning and so forth. And, you know, we apply drops and things like that. But from a cellular level, the eyes are crying out for silica and nat mur.
Okay, thank you. So would you recommend silica and nat mur over the combination 12?
Yes, at this stage, because it's more specific. Is your condition exhaustion or is it just your eyes?
It's the exhaustion comes after the burning eyeballs.
Okay, so you could try, you know, let's do the nat mur and silica for a few weeks, like 4 times a day for 4 weeks, and then move on to and see how you go. You can write to me, Sophia, or and then we'll do a combination 12 and you can compare the two.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Well, that will bring me up to May.
Beautiful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Because I'd like for you to really make use of this time, because it is the first 4 months. We're into the 4th month, and we're really a third way through the year. So we need to really fine tune it to make the most of the next 4 months and then the next 4. But it really takes charge. We really need to, it's like steering our way into good health. We need to know what to put into our spark plugs, because, you know, I've always said I want a Ferrari engine for the rest of my life. And I want those spark plugs. I want the right fuel. And that's why I've been sharing with everyone. I thought I knew about health. I thought I was really great at everything I knew, you know, understood. I was inspired until plant-based supplements, I really fine-tuned in them, and they have been making a difference in conjunction with the tissue salts, to the point that I'm taking the plant-based iron now, and I hadn't. You know, so have a look. If you're quite wanting a bit of a change, have a look at moving even 1 or 2 supplements. I even found moving into a plant-based magnesium really supported the way my body rested, because I used to promote a German powder, but I'm now really looking at total plant-based and understanding that when a magnesium is working, our muscles are happy. So adding the MagPhos to a plant-based, our aim in life is really to create happiness within ourselves. And, you know, many, many years ago, I went and taught in Milan in a beautiful ski resort at the Bowen. You know, they had a conference, and the first question I asked, and I'll ask each of you, are your cells happy? They will be speaking to you through symptoms on a day-to-day basis. So what we really need to be doing is that we need to be non-stop. You know, whenever we feel a tingle in our throat, we need to address that. Whenever we feel burning in our ears, you know, an imbalance just doesn't occur. It's over time. that our cells don't think we're looking after them, because they will have your back. If you look after your cells, they will always look after you. And I wanted to start off today by really saying, have we ever thought of calcium sulfate, which is known as nature's corset? And this is a tissue salt that we don't often think about. And this is occurs naturally in the body in cartilage, and it's an important as a component in amino acid, but it also influences with silica the formation of connective tissue. And the reason I bring calc sulf into the picture, when we've got a wound, or when we've got a pimple that's infected, or whenever we've got an ulcer, or whenever our skin doesn't look very like it's never coming to the shine, I bring in nature's corset. And the reason it's called calc sulf, is known as nature's corset, is because it pushes everything out in the body that's not needed, and it brings it to the surface. But it pushes out, just say there's an ulcer, or there's a wound that isn't really closing, or it always reoccurs. What we need is calc sulf to push all the toxins out, and like a corset, it brings the skin together. I did some face readings today, and I predicted, and I spoke to a few, and I said to one woman, you need silica, and she said, oh, I'll never take that. And I said, oh, why is that? She said, I don't like seeing pimples. But I said, pimples on the skin are a lot better on the outside than in the inside. So I would recommend, let's push out. Hello, Karen.
Hi.
Let's push it. How are you?
Can I just jump in? I don't know if you're psychic or not, but that is the one piece of information I needed to know tonight. Because in November I was diagnosed with lupus, and I had every symptom that you've just said, ulcers and skin and what have you, and they think it's got to do with the connective tissue. So, and I was taking the skin formula, and that helped a lot, but now I know what to go and get.
Yeah, well, the skin formula, the combination D, does have calc sulf in it, the combination D, but if it's specific, that's what I'd like you all to know. Go to the specific if you can work out your specific, or use the combination. The combinations have less strength. They're as potent as the single ones, but the calc sulf being nature's corset. And what I wanted to, and this woman said to me, I'll never take silica tissue salt again because my skin didn't look great, but she was very deficient in silica, and I could tell with the lines going down on her face, and she had the damp palms. And I said, do you experience perspiration? Do you get boils in the, on your eyelids and so forth? She said, yes. And I said, you can really set those aside by simply being on silica for at least 3 to 6 months. And I'll bring in the period of at least 3 months, because we know that's the healing period. And if you find a tissue salt that you're working and walking with, try to give it at least minimum of 1 month to 3 months. Now, I wanted to move on to, with the calc sulf, remembering that it expels pus, and a pus being made from dead white blood cells. So why would we want those floating in our body? Isn't it best to push them out? And remember, the calc sulf goes hand in hand with silica. So whether it is a lupus, whether it is a condition of your skin, or whether you're just not feeling, your whole hair, your face, you're feeling like it's never looking great no matter how much you spend on skincare, then you may be deficient in calc sulf and silica. The other one, which is especially good for you to know in April, is Kali Mur, because this sets up your glands for success. So Kali Mur is potassium chloride, and I take it along with Nat Mur to regulate the balance of fluids in the body as well. So if Kali Mur is also for your lymphatics, naturally it's good for for people with thyroid imbalance, but it's also great in conjunction with Nat Mur because it regulates the balance of fluids. I shared with a few practitioners today that nat mer, if you're craving for salt, you need to consider nat mer. Now, with all the food that's coming our way during Easter, we need to also be concerned about what our cravings for salt are as much as they are for sugar. Nat mer is a beautiful kidney tissue salt. Nat mer is known as the fluid balancer, but it rehydrates the cells. So a lot of times we think we're drinking enough water that will flow and open up our waterways and hydrate our cells. But if you're craving salt, if you're thirsty quite often during the day, if you are on medication, and if you're finding that you get a lot of glandular imbalances, balance that out and take it with nat mer. So the kali mer and nat mer really do go hand in hand. Our glands always need the love of kali mer. And whenever you're thinking that you're getting, we spoke about the ferrophos and kali mer combination last time, but kali mer is a beautiful mineral that we need to consider if we talk a lot. Even if you find that speaking, you've got quite a coarse voice, your glands feel a bit inflamed, or you know that by June you suffer from, you may have tonsillitis or anything like that. Let's prepare the glands and give a gift of Easter, an Easter gift to our glands this April by considering the kali mer. Yeah. So it supports the mucous membranes. And did you know that kali mer also controls your heartbeat? So if we're finding, and we always think of mag-phos when we've got heart palpitations, you know, we need magnesium naturally to build it. But did you know that kali mer even controls your heartbeat as well? So that's how potent it is. And I've got here, kali mer also supports stomach and intestinal activity as it supports the proper function of muscles and nerves. So what I'd like you to consider that each tissue salt also has a secondary occurrence, meaning a secondary support mechanism. So did you know that kali salt is a skin salt, but if you've got green phlegm, you take the second stage of infection, you take kali salt. So if anyone would like my notes on the systems of the body, let me know by the end of today, and I'll email you my 5 pages on the tissue salts for the different systems of the body. So I've got kali salt, which I said, which is for the second stage of infection, not only a skin salt, because it supports the formation of skin cells, hair and nails, which is very important for the recovery of wounds and rashes. And I bring up kali salt because for those people who've had COVID, and I was speaking to a client of mine who actually for the first time had COVID, she also came up with quite a rash. And kali salt isn't something that we always jump to. We may sort of think, oh no, I need silica, but kali salt is for the formation of skin and healthy cells, yeah? And whenever there's a rash, remember, try not eating except having broths and things like that. The body is trying to push out what it's not happy with on the inside. There's an allergy. Allergies usually start from inside the body rather than the outside. So start to know the way your organs are working in your body. The other thing for nat mer that I'd like you all to know about, especially because during Easter, you might bump into people whose taste and smell has not come back after they've had a bad cold or COVID. And this is where nat mer comes into place. So nat mer, not only for the cravings of salt or to hydrate your kidneys, but it's also very, very important to get your, when we have a loss of smell and taste back. So always consider nat mer whenever you can't smell your favorite perfume or you can't taste your favorite food. So I said to one of my clients who's living with COVID for a few days, she said, nothing tastes like anything anymore. And I said, I gave you some nat mer, start chewing it. And she was quite amazed what happened after a few days. So I made her take Calimere and Netmert. I'm not saying that I'm going to wave a magic wand, but let's not have to live with the symptoms of the follow-up after COVID. Why is it the people who've had COVID are more likely to get COVID second time, third time, fourth time? I know a GP whose whole family have had it 6 times in 2 years. And that's because we never ever clear away the cells that need to be outside our body. We're actually still living with the viral loading, and I call it viral loading. If there's something that we really need to look at in this new world, because I don't believe vitamin C on its own is doing the trick like it always did. We really need to create a different health jigsaw puzzle for ourselves. And this is why I'd like you to think about getting yourself well as you possibly can after you've had COVID, because that viral loading lingers on inside the body, and people take months and months in order to get their energy back. Yeah. And always consider really great. We've got some amazing practitioners from Oborn, and I'd love them later to share on probiotics, because they have the best probiotics that I buy from them. But it's so important in this new world. We cannot survive without a good probiotic, knowing, and I speak a lot about kefir, but knowing that over 80% of our immunity lives in our gut, 94% of our serotonin lives in the gut. So let's make the gut as happy and healthy. And the 2 tissue salts for happy gut are Nat Phos and Nat Sulf. And if you're carrying too much fluid, I would really love you to consider Nat Phos and Nat Sulf, because the Nat Sulf creates healthy bile, and the Nat Phos makes you more alkaline. Yeah. Are there any questions so far? Because I've not done a presentation without a PowerPoint, so I'd love you to jump in if there's a question, because I'm going to go through a few other imbalances that we may experience April onwards. But I'd love you to share with me if I'm not covering a tissue salt that you want me to cover. Now, I'm going through all of them, and I'm not saying that you need all of them, but it's really nice to educate yourself. I would recommend that you have, so I've just got here from Sophia, can you please repeat tissue salts, Nat Sulf and Nat Phos? They're the twin sisters, I call them. And the reason they're the twin sisters is because they go hand in hand. A sodium phosphate is needed when we need to be more alkaline, and it really speeds up the metabolism, jumpstarts the metabolism, helps our digestive enzymes, and the Nat Sulf creates healthy bile, and we need healthy bile to break down fats in the body. So I call them the twin sisters, yeah? We've got nature's core set, the calc sulf, the twin sisters, and when we feel bloated, the Nat Phos is very important. Now, after your Easter lunch on Sunday, if you're feeling bloated, you can use the tissue salts in an acute way. You can live with them every 30 minutes until you feel better. It doesn't mean you stop your other tissue salts, but just embrace the tissue salts as though they're part of whatever food you're eating and enjoying. So think about the tissue salts, that they can walk with you throughout the day and get you to a better space and place by the end of the day. Imagine knowing that you have these little white gems in your first aid cabinet, or I have them in my pantry. And every time my husband opens the pantry, he said, we need a bit more room. And I said, no, this section's all called the tissue salt section. So have a think about where you place them, but have them around. And today's really just an overview. On Sunday, we always overeat during Easter. Have a think about, are you bloated? Do you normally bloat? You can take the Nat Phos beforehand. If you find that I love using the dandelion tea when I'm prescribing Nat Sulf. I love the dandelion tea, and I recommend at least 3 cups a day. if you're a diabetic, I would recommend the tea bags versus the little granules as well. Does anyone want to share anything with me before I go on? Lidwina? Lidwina, can you unmute yourself? Lidwina? I can't hear you. That's okay. I can't, Lidwina, I can't see it.
Susan, can you try to unmute? Okay, that's what.
Can you comment on combo tea? Because
Yes.
I use that as a lifesaver.
Yes,
But
beautiful.
number two, is there any way we can get a printout? You talk very fast and I'm trying to keep up.
Yes, you'll get my printout of my notes that I have today.
Okay. I tried to
Okay.
email you and they didn't accept your email.
Oh.
Then
So
I wrote you something else.
Can you stay on until the end of this so I can actually make sure that I have your proper email?
Okay.
I keep jumping up because it gets very hot in my room and I don't like the air conditioning, so I'm sort of jumping up and down. Lidwina, you stay on right until the very end so I can get your details.
Susan, I have Lidwina's email, so you don't have to worry.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lidwina. The combination teas, Carly Myrrh and Ferrum Foss, and I love traveling with that. And that's your first stage of illness. That's always good to have in the house because the first stage of illness means that we've got a fever, we're inflamed, and the Carly Myrrh is your glandular tonic. You can have that either on an ongoing basis or as I do when I travel with it. Yep. Any other questions? Jackie?
Oh, just a quick one. I had a spider's bite. And so just what you were talking about before, the calc sulf and the silica would be good for me.
Yes, it would. It would actually remove what's right under at the cellular level to be pushed out.
Good.
Yeah. And I think the celluloids actually, and I'll speak to the team from Auburn if they still do the celluloids, but I know that there's a calcium sulfate in a celluloid as well.
Okay.
You know, we can talk about that, Jackie, and the spider bite, we really need to push out as much as we can because it does linger on.
Okay.
Beautiful. Okay. Now, when we look at the tissue salts, we always have our favorite ones, and that's okay. But I want you to sort of develop an overview, and I'd love you to sort of live with them and see what happens. I'm going to be, and I'll speak to you about what's happening next month, but just give yourself a month, like month of April, and just sort of see how the tissue salts go back to you. You know, I've been doing this for over 30 years and they've always really supported everyone that I've met and they've supported my health. And I can proudly say that I haven't been unwell. I haven't been unwell for many, many years. And I used to travel every year to Canada. And it wasn't until I discovered in Canada, we used to always have kefir, and I used to always take my tissue salts with me and always look after my kidneys. But I'd love you to share and find out what are those three things that really have your back no matter what. Yeah. So find three, and it might be a tissue salt, a supplement, and a drink that you drink, but always live with your Trinity. And your Trinity means that you never leave your house without it. Yeah? Yeah. So let's move on. And I wanted to say to you, is someone, I can hear someone in the background. Janet, would you like to mute yourself? Janet? Good, thank you. Just in regard to the next one that I want to look at is conjunctivitis. A lot of people who've had a viral loading, the second stage of that, they experience like blocked eye ducts. They experience that there's like a gritty sand in the eye area. And I move into with silica and NatMer for conjunctivitis. And I even say to people, it's like giving your eyes a beautiful chamomile bath on the inside. So what happens with silica and NatMer, it's a beautiful cleaning way that they, from the inside out, are cleaned. Yeah, the eyes. The next one I want to speak about are corns. And corns that we, you know, people say, oh, I just keep getting them all the time. And that's a deficiency of kali myrrh and nat sulf. Yeah. Now, I've also been asked in the UK, hay fever season is on. And hay fever, we really do a lot of ferrum phos and kali myrrh. For any allergies, I love ferrum phos and kali myrrh, or combination J or combination H. And I speak about combination H for happy because that's got the key tissue salts in there for hay fever. But if you're congested, what we really need to look at is the combination J, because there's ferrum phos in that one.
So I think Omar was asking whether she can get combination H from the UK. I think we run out.
And I hope we can. Omar, thank you for joining us from the UK, Omar. Yes, can we get a combination H? Can we send a combination H, Andy?
Yeah, definitely we can, from Australia.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. And when you've got hay fever, you can take it 1 tablet 4 times a day. But if your symptoms are really severe, we double the dose, or we take it every half hour. And you won't ever overdose on tissue salts, no matter what medication you're on. They work in conjunction. There's something that I wanted to talk about because Easter's coming, and you probably think, why is Susan speaking about constipation? And what we really need to look at is how well is our bowel looking after us, and how well are we looking after our bowel? Why is it that sometimes even when we have prune juice, prunes, there's still always residue left in our bowel? And that's because there's not enough nat sulf and NatMer to actually support the full bowel movement. And I would look at the beta glucans as well, being soluble fiber in there. I just recommend those raw ones that you just get in little sachets, or you can take beta glucan powder. But I love the nat sulf and NatMer for what it does to keeping a healthy bowel. Is that you, Angela?
So sorry.
Hello. Yeah, so thinking about, you know, we always think about our skin looks great, our hair looks great, but we only are as great as a happy bowel. So really think about those 2 minerals, nat sulf and NatMer. Someone came up to me today and said, Susan, what would you do for dandruff? And there's a beautiful hair scalp tonic that I love, that I recommend, and it's by Weleda, rosemary blend of by Weleda, that I recommend that you put a few drops of that topically on your scalp. But NatMer, silica and kali sulf are for dandruff that I would recommend, and they can be taken in a trinity quite effectively. Now let's look at diarrhea as well, and I'm going in the alphabet now. Now, why do some people, before they become quite unwell, and diarrhea is really the body not coping with what's inside it. also if we take too much magnesium, a few other supplements. But with diarrhea, the first point of call with diarrhea is ferrum phos and mag phos. Ferrum phos and mag phos go hand in hand, and in comes the NAPMER if after 2 days your diarrhea hasn't stopped. With diarrhea, it's not one tablet 4 times a day, it's every 30 minutes or every 15 minutes, and over 72 hours if your diarrhea hasn't stopped. That means that we really need to do something else. I've always recommended the heat pack, where you sit on a heat pack, put a heat pack under your feet, under your bottom. That was taught to me by my grandmother, who was a herbalist when I was 6 years old, and I still have that trick. I've got little kids who have diarrhea, and I tell the mothers about the importance of chamomilla, you know, even chamomile tea, taking the tissue salts. But I asked one mother in particular, just put a heat pack under the feet, under your son's feet and on their bottom, and let them just sit there and watch some TV. Well, the diarrhea just stopped. So that's been quite good to think about the heat. I also get asked about hemorrhoids and stretch marks, and that's a deficiency of calc, fleur, and ferrum phos at the cellular level. Now let's look at hair loss. And when we're looking at hair loss, to get that, and I say this because it's April, let's not, if your hair is falling out, just know we need to really look at our iron levels, but also look at Kali phos, because our nervous system needs to be sewn up. Yeah, in that way. And then I've put here, what do we do for inspiration, joy, and kindness? And the three inspiration, joy, and kindness, how can we have more inspiration, more joy, and more kindness? Naturally, we need to take some Kali phos, which is potassium phosphate. Why? Because potassium phosphate is a constituent of our brain cells. When our brain cells are nourished effectively, they will actually start thinking in a positive way. Yeah? So think about Kali phos. And that's where I ended. And I'd like to share with each of you how you found that, and if you've got any other questions.
I have a question, Susan.
Hello, Marianne.
I found that really interesting. Thank you. Really, I've written heaps of notes.
Very good. And it's just about you feeling your best version of yourself. We're stepping into Easter, and what sort of a year are you going to give yourself? Because in the end, we give ourselves our year, and no one can take our year away from us.
True.
Yeah.
My question was to do with my daughter, if you don't mind me asking.
Yes.
She is 20, and she got diagnosed back in January with psoriasis.
Yes.
Never ever had it.
Yes.
She's been to 3 different doctors, and they just keep prescribing cortisone cream.
Yes.
They're not actually fixing the issue. So I suggested to her to work on her gut health and the probiotics and things. But would silica help with that, do you think?
Combination D for Dora. That's got the 4 minerals that the skin needs. And dermatologists use combination D and nettle cream, and you'd have to change all her body washes. So she could not have any perfumes in her shampoos or body washes, like organic range. You know.
Because it's covered from her forehead to her feet, and she works in childcare, and all the kids say to her, "What's wrong with your body?" She's getting very conscious about it. So I said to her, "Look, next time I talk to Susan, I'll ask her about the tissue
and
salts."
nettle, beautiful. Nettle is a beautiful tea to drink. You know, buying nettle.
I've got that tea, yeah.
Yep, and you make it at night, and it has to sit there together. It has to sit there overnight, and she adds hot water to it and drinks it in that state. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. And we've got the nettle cream at Martin and Pleasant that you can use topically. Yeah.
I'll look into that. Thank you.
Beautiful. And I just wanted to know whether Oborn Health, we've got someone there from Oborn Health. If you could just tell us what do you recommend in the probiotics, a few brands that you might like to share? Is there anyone from Iborn with us still? Well, speaking about probiotics, there's a number of them out there. You can speak to the practitioners in the health food in your pharmacies. But remember, I did speak about there is coconut kefir and normal milk-based kefirs, depending what best suits you. And maybe Iborn at the end can share a bit more. But it's very, very important that we really add this to our tissue salt health as well. Yeah. And Sandra, how's your health going at the moment?
I don't know. What do you think, Valerie? Do you think I've been
Well, I love your hair. You look exotic, Sandra. Go on.
I started horticultural course at TAFE in the last 7 weeks.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Can you see that's made you very happy? And what tissue salts are you on at the moment, Sandra?
I just have it on my desk, on my bedside table. I don't know. I actually don't even read it. I just take whichever one I want to take. What I feel.
Okay.
But obviously, I have the is it COM5 that we?
Yeah, the nerve one, the combination 5. Yes.
In my house, but there's a new one I'm taking on my bedside. I can't remember what it is. I don't know, Susan. I just grab it from
Fabulous. You love them so much that they're always in your house, which is
they're
lovely.
Always on my bedside table. It's more so my bedside table and in my handbag that I think that I tend to take them the most. I do have them here in the pantry in the kitchen, but for some reason I forget to take them. So bedside table and handbags, from at meetings, appointments, or anything like that. I'll just
beautiful.
Yeah, and my dog still takes one as well when she's a little puppy. So I was going to ask about the kefir because I got this one here. Is that the one that you started off with? Because I used to do it.
You make it yourself. I never make it, but if you can make it if you've got the right.
I used to make it a few years ago, but it was my husband's workmate that gave it to me. It was so easy, and he said not to use metal spoons. And this one here from Nature's Goodness is showing an egg bit, the egg beater thing. It's got metal on it, so I'm a bit confused. It's so easy to make. You don't make it.
No,
Susan.
because I find that mine, unless you get the temperature right, it turns into more of a yogurt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't think. When I used to make it, I thought it was easy to drink.
Yeah, for me being around, I just buy it wherever I go. You know what I mean? So in that sense. And when we speak about Easter, like today's Wednesday, we've got Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That's 72 hours to get ourselves into the best shape internally before Easter Sunday. Like have a think about when you're eating, am I eating because of a habit or am I eating to nourish my core? Do I have the tissue salts at my cellular level to open up the pathways? Why is it that when we swallow calcium, we don't have, and we have studies showing, and people go and get their levels tested, they don't have enough calcium to grow, to keep the bone strong. Why are we just taking supplements? I thought, for example, it was healthy to have yellow urine until I moved to my plant-based supplements, and the urine is not yellow when I actually take the B vitamins, which are in the spirulina. So I've chosen not to have anything synthetic going into me, because whatever's synthetic, the body doesn't know what to do, and it just removes it from the body. And the wonderful thing about having the plant-based vitamin C, and if you haven't experienced it with, and I do the Ferrin Phos and the Kali Mur, and I always do Green Nutritionals vitamin C. I thought I knew everything about vitamin C until I took this plant-based, and I'm really grateful that I found out about it, because it'd been a long time since I'd seen it. And when you look at the camu and the boab and the acerola creating that trinity, and me receiving vitamin C in a potent way, in a very different way, but I've never felt better. I feel more like me, and people say moving into your 60s is hard work. Well, I've never been happier. you know? So ask yourself, is everything on your shelf working for you? Or do we need to shake it up? Because it is April. What is it that you're going to give up, and what is it that you're going to add in? Remember, I've also added into my regime a plant-based omega-3 oil capsule and the magnesium capsule. And I did 4 months of astaxanthin, and I'm now just taking the omega-3, the magnesium, and the vitamin C. And I'm very, very happy because I feel more comfortable inside myself. And I take the spirulina to give me my natural bees. And something that I wanted each of you to know, and Jackie, you might like this, in our Vital All-in-One, the B vitamins are made from the organic, what are they called? From the organic quinoa sprouts. So that's really good to know. So the bees are all natural and organic in the Vital All-in-One. So have a think about whether the supplements that you are taking are working for you. Yeah. And by adding tissue salts, you're changing the way everything that you're eating and you're swallowing. So have a think about, so from today onwards, when I said to you, ask yourself, do you like who you are? Do you like where you're at? Who do you want to be in 2023? What is it that you want to take out the year? Begins in April, because there's 8 months to go. And let's not wait until September before we start doing something about our constipation, our ears not feeling right, the fact that we've lost our taste and smell. It's today. And we speak about lupus, and that's a total breakdown of every cell in our body that needs to be loved. And that's why, Marianne, we look at that combination 12 to get it back in with the lupus. The calc sulf is great, but if you've had lupus for a while and you feel it's feeling a lot better, you can go specifically with the calc sulf and the silica. Otherwise, we can move, and you can do those and then see how you go moving into combination 12. Or if you feel you want to really jumpstart the whole body, we do the combination 12. Lupus means that the body is not, the cells in the body are angry with each other.
All I had, Susan, I had different things in the house, but all I knew to do was take the skin formula and the combination 12. Yep. And I'm much improved, and I really rate that highly.
Oh. And that's interesting, Karen, because I would say you only take one combination at a time, but you took the 2, Karen. You took the combination D and the combination 12.
Well, I took, which is the skin one? Is that D?
Is it one skin one, the silica, or
the skin combination?
Yeah, that's combination D for Dora.
Yeah. So I started on the combination 12. Yeah. And I sent someone out to get the skin for me, and it took a while for them to find it. Mm-hmm. And so I kept taking the 12, and then I took the skin for a week, and then I went back on and my skin improved, so I went back on the 12.
Very good. Can you stay on that, Karen? Probably another 12 weeks.
Or forever? Or...
Oh. So let's do 12
so
weeks.
Just COM12.
The COM12, one of those at least 4 times a day. But I'd really invite you to consider the plant-based omega-3, having a look at a few things, and I'd be happy to send you material on that. You know,
Thanks,
some
Susan.
more material, and you know, like each of you. And I'm just going to do this. So anyone else wants to share before we speak about, we let gorgeous Andy share some things with us? Anyone want to share with me? Julie, tell me how you are.
Yes, in your last March newsletter to us, you talked about Combi 5 and the Calm.
Yeah.
The drops. I've been taking that for about the last 3 weeks, and I'm feeling so much better. I was feeling a bit rattled, a bit confused, just a bit down, and I'm virtually back to where I was.
Fabulous.
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 Yeah. I've just had a 6 monthly blood test.
Yep.
And all my levels are perfect. Everything is perfect.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
I attribute to the tissue salts.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. And you know, have a think. I got asked by Sophia about how long does someone with lupus and the tissue salts. Lupus is a chronic condition, and anything chronic, I say at least 6 months minimum. And then we really observe. And if you've been on the 12, you will look at taking something more specific. But tissue salts are only one part of your wellness jigsaw puzzle. It's not the only thing you take, because our worlds become quite, you know, the viral loading, our worlds become a very different world than even a year ago. Yeah,
I do take other things as well.
Very good. And think about the powders, think about supplements that are working for you. And I also got asked by Sophia about constipation, I think it was, and it's nat salt for constipation. And if it's a dry stool, it's nat myrrh that goes with it. And for bloating, it's nat phos. So I'm hoping that, each of you, sorry, Julie?
I just want to ask you quickly, you know the plant-based vitamin C?
Yes.
Is that acidic?
No, it makes you more alkaline. It's not an acidic one.
Okay.
And maybe that's why I'm feeling different, Julie.
Yeah, I need to be alkaline.
Yep, so it's all about alkalinity. And Andy, before I go, Andy's now going to be sharing, because I'd like to offer something special for Easter. But what I'd like to say, in May, I'd love each of you to join me in May. I've got the founder on May the 3rd, the founder of and the owner of Ainsworth's, a pharmacist who makes Bach flowers the way Dr. Bach wanted them made, and we use them in our Rest and Quiet range. But he's going to be speaking about how you do your own method. Even if you walk into a health food store and you just stand in front of the 38 of them, how those Bach flowers speak to you. And he formulated this method called the ABC method. That's a free session. I'd love you to join us on the 3rd of May and meet this amazing guy from the UK who's got an amazing pharmacy, and you can read about him. His name is Tony Pinkus, Pinkus, and I'll send each of you an invite, and you can decide if you want to come, or email me and say, because I'm going to be sending the invite with Andy at by the 15th of April. But I'd love you to have a space on that to really learn about how you can actually take charge of your emotional well-being. So when we can fine-tune our emotions, link it in with ourselves, we're in total control of the way we think and the way we feel and the way our bag of cells carry us through the day. Yeah? Now, Andy, can you please share tonight, besides being amazing, and thank you for being with us, Andy, is there anything for Easter that we've got that we can offer this amazing group who always join us?
Yes, of course, Suze. Thank you for joining, everyone. Just to be privileged to announce that we're going to give a special discount for everyone. Almost sidewise since tomorrow, but you guys are the first one to know. So we're going to have 23% off almost everything from our store, and especially for this group, if you can just email me and pick one of the 5 in our organic formulation skincare. If you can check, it's not. I can't see from here.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to say. So we introduced this range last year. So if you're interested and you just place any items, any order, and email me the item that you pick, I will give it and attach it in your parcel.
Yeah, beautiful. Andy, for people who don't have your email, it's just a.dang, D-A-N-G, at mandp.com.au.
Have it here so everyone can see.
Yeah. Beautiful. See, Andy can do amazing things. He's got it at the bottom of the screen. And he's a really go-to, and he'll be able to coordinate whatever you need. And and did you say 23% off, Andy?
Yeah, starting tomorrow.
Yep. So imagine 23% will be off of vitamin C as well, Andy.
Yeah, that's correct.
And are all the tissue salts in at the moment?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, fabulous. Well, that's great to know. Yeah. So have a think about what are the tissue salts that are going to be living on your shelf as well. But what I might do, Andy, if we could, can I give everyone, because we've spoken a lot about silica today, yeah? Can I give everybody in their parcel, they're going to get a skincare, but can I give everyone a silica cream as an Easter present? All
Yes,
right, good.
I'm
So
happy
I'll
with
give
that.
everyone, yeah, we've got the silica cream as my Easter present, because I can't give you Easter eggs, but I can give you a silica cream. And that's a beautiful cream to have as well in the house. Again, on your hands, on a skin. It's really good for dermatitis as well, but it's a skin cream, and we'll do that. We'll add that in your parcel, as well as Andy and I saying Happy Easter to each of you. Will that work for each of you? Are there any more questions? All good? All right. Okay, then, thank you